if you see anything, any experience, imagine if you wanted to go, you go out into the wild and you found on a mountaintop like a great, beautiful sunset. You're like, it's one thing to see it yourself, and then like, I want to share this experience. I'm aware of it. Are you aware of this? Are you seeing this? Right?
Yeah, it inspires you.
We have an impulse to share that. And I think art kind of perhaps evolved from that, where coming from the impulse to share our lived experiences, we get to kind of formulate it in a way that other can be translated to other people, because our own individual realities are that only us who experience it understand it in the way of you intuitively understand what you're seeing and what you're experiencing. Like you are the one who are the observer. So if you want to translate that experience, you will have to use some kind of medium to translate that to other people. A person who haven't seen the same thing as you, they will not understand it the way that you do, right? And you have to find a way to translate that. And obviously, art is a beautiful way to translate that, as opposed to be saying, just you and me, let's say, you're telling me an experience and you're trying to describe it, but that's just you describing it. There's no beauty in that sort of explanation. But if you do it in a way that I think humans find a way, you know what?
Yeah,
There's a way to say this more
yeah.
elegantly by not saying it, by not
Yeah, because
directly
inspiration is
indicating it.
also kind of like multidimensional, right? This is why art inspires art, right? If you saw like a beautiful picture, it could inspire you to make a poem, write music about it, right? It's all, but in that sense, all art is kind of about feelings, right? It is a representation of the inner world and your interpretation of things, like what it makes
Yeah.
you think about, like the meaning that you conceive of when you see this or experience that. It's another medium for communication of complex human experiences, I think.
Yeah.
That's a big
So
part of the definition for art, now that I
key
think of
is that interaction with the world out there,
it.
right? Other consciousness have to perceive it and judge it
Yeah.
and see if they agree with your sentiment, if they get what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Because the thing is, like, for example, any book, any novel you read, there's going to be a theme, right? Of what the book is about. And people can argue about it, but they're gonna find at the end of the day the essence of what that novel is trying to say. And the more popular that book is, the more, I mean, yes, you can interpret it in many different ways, and certainly sometimes it kind of run away from the author's intention. And that's the kind of interesting part about it. It's like,
Yeah, and some of
who's
this
right?
art, yeah, you made me think about it, that some of the art can be intentionally ambiguous, or
You're right.
leave enough ambiguity to engage the viewers in the art. Viewers and their subjective perspective on it creates the art. That's, I think, the greatest art, where everybody can see something, some that only they can see in art. I've encountered that recently on the example of a Moby Dick book.
Yeah.
I've never read it, but I was reading the book on enlightenment, and it just so happened the second part of the series of that book was talking excessively about the Moby Dick, which really annoyed me because I'm just not familiar with it. I never read it. There's too many books to read. I never read Moby Dick, even though I know it's a staple. It's an American classical literature essentially. But it was doing such a heavy analysis on Moby Dick that it was just essentially the author of that book prided himself to be the first and only person like to figure out what Moby Dick is actually about. He's like, I gleaned through the real intentions of the author, and this I'm sure this is exactly what it meant. But even that like made me think like, well, that's just an interpretation,
Yeah.
and that does seem cohesive and seems like it works. But you can do that with anything. You can be, in Russian we call it to tie something by its ears. So you pull something by its ears and you make it stick. You make it close, which is, I think you can do that with anything. You can make
Yeah.
any kind of spin on anything, on anybody else's art. You can twist it and spin it, right?